Here lies the headquarters of the United Klans of America, otherwise known as the Ku Klux Klan. This band of loosely organized, racist, political, and social terrorists are known for their horrible acts against people of color. The Klan was formed with the goal of maintaining white supremacy following the newly gained rights of said people of color following the Civil War. But the people who got it the worst were Southern African American people. Their numerous, horrible acts were not exclusive to colored people, but also civil rights activists and businesses who allowed or were owned by black people. But enough about the Ku Klux Klan and their horrible acts, because we're here to talk about the woman who brought down the United Klans of America. It started in 1963 near the beginning of fall. In Birmingham, Alabama, families gathered together for a lovely morning at 16th Street Baptist Church. Earlier that day, several men gathered and planted 15 sticks of dynamite under the steps of the property. Those sticks exploded simultaneously during the morning service. 4 teenage girls were killed and many were injured. This is known as the Birmingham church bombing of 1963. Several members of the KKK had assembled earlier that morning in order to plant dynamite under the church. The Klan's influence was so prominent during that time that only one suspect, Robert Chambliss, was prosecuted nearly 10 years later. One other suspect, Hernan Cash, died in 1994 without facing any jail time or criminal charges for his actions. The other 2 suspects, Bobby Cherry and Blanton Jr., were only recently incarcerated in 2001 in an attempt by the state of Alabama to resolve cold cases involving racial segregation and domestic terrorism, but their terror didn't stop there. In 1981, Josephus Anderson, an African-American man, was charged with the alleged murder of a white 46-year-old policeman named Sergeant Albert Eugene Ballard 2 days before he was eligible to retire, during a robbery in Birmingham, Alabama. He was tried in Mobile, Alabama, where the case had been moved. At a meeting held in Mobile, members of the United Klans of America complained that Anderson was not convicted because the jury had African American members. Benny Jack Hayes, the second highest ranking official in the United Klans of America, said, "If a black man can get away with killing a white man, we ought to be able to get away with killing a black man." A teen boy by the name of Michael Donald was walking back to his sister's house after making a cigarette run to the local convenience store. Halfway there, a car pulled beside Michael and asked him for directions to the local club. The driver pulled a gun on Michael and commanded him to get in the car or he would be shot dead. One man got out the rear and forced Michael into the middle between the 2 men in the back. Held hostage, Michael was driven to another county deep in the wilderness near Mobile Bay. The 3 men known as Henry Hayes, James Knowles, and Benjamin Cox forced Michael out of the car and onto the ground. Michael made a final attempt to survive when smacking the gun from Hayes' hand and running off into the wilderness. The 3 men chased Michael down. James tied a rope around his neck. Henry and Benjamin beat him with sticks until he was unconscious, and then Henry slit his neck 3 different times to be sure of his death. Michael was dragged through the woods and back to the car where his body was loaded into the truck by Henry, James, and Benjamin. The trio drove his body to Herndon Avenue, where Michael's corpse was hung up on a tree across the street from Henry Hayes' home. He was left there for all to see, as if he was a trophy. Local KKK members gathered together later that night and planted a cross in front of the Mobile courthouse. The cross was covered in gasoline and set ablaze in celebration of Michael's death. The teenage boy's body wasn't discovered until the next morning by locals. The authorities were called to the scene and removed his body from the tree. When Beulah May McDonald had found out about her son, some authorities initially argued that his killing was not connected to the Ku Klux Klan and was instead motivated by a drug deal or affair. She disagreed with their racist hypothesis and set out to clear Michael's name. She was fully ready to do anything in her power to get back at the Ku Klux Klan. Similar to Emmett Till's mother, she insisted on giving her son an open casket funeral because she wanted the world to see the horror that had been inflicted on her son. Beulah, along with a large number of the local black community, protested and pushed the Mobile Police Department to not lose sight of justice for Michael Donald for more than 2 years. Beulah urged investigators to try and search for the men who killed her son. She eventually met with U.S. Attorney Tom Figures and the FBI to continue with the investigation. Only then did she get her justice. According to multiple sources, she told the Klansmen on trial, "I do forgive you. From the day I found out who you all were, I asked God to take care of y'all, and He has." And so, she had done something unheard of. She was a black woman who fought endlessly with the Klan and won, bringing a huge uptick in equality all around America, and making the Klan pay for what they had done. But nothing could fill the hole that was left from her son's murder, because no amount of money could change the past. In 1983, the two Klansmen, Henry Haynes and James Knowles, were arrested and convicted of capital murder. But Beulah was not done there. She wanted to make sure that no other mother or person in general would have to go through her pain. So in 1984, she filed a lawsuit against the United Klans of America in civil court and won. She was offered $1 million, but she knew to fight them more. On February 12th, 1987, after 6 years, the Klan was ordered to pay damages of $7 million by an all-white jury, bankrupting the organization. From there, the KKK was forced to file for bankruptcy, and by November 1987, Donald had received none of the money. Donald told the press that, "I wanted to be assured. I wasn't even thinking about the money. If I hadn't gotten a cent, it wouldn't have mattered. I wanted to know how and why they did it." Michael Figures, Beulah's attorney, said that she represented the rock on which all of this was ultimately built. So once again, here lies the headquarters of the United Klans of America. Once a band of loosely organized, racist, political, and social terrorists across North America, whom were known for their racially motivated hate crimes against people of color, with the purpose of maintaining the long-dead idea of white supremacy that had died with the ending of the Civil War. Though the idea still isn't completely buried, even today. Beulah had done what many had tried to do before, and even though nothing could fill the void left in her heart, she could at least greatly minimize the chance of this tragedy happening to anyone else. And that she did. The UKA was maimed into a former shell of itself. With the news following the outcome of the court case, most followers decided to quit their ideals or move far away where they could attempt or start again. Some chose to practice their ways in isolation, away from the light of modern society. So with its members scattered far and wide with no funding or central body to organize the remaining minority, we were able to witness the fall of the UKA, giving people of color a chance to exercise their rights.